Today is December the 13th. And boy, am I behind. January the 13th, 2021. 2022, even further behind. January 13th, 2022 is the date. And we have Pastor Ed McKinney with us to do our invocation. Pastor McKinney?
Thank you. Honored to be here today. Let us go to the Lord in prayer. Lord of wisdom, we pray that you will bless this town hall meeting. Let us pray. Lord of wisdom, we pray that you will bless this town hall meeting. Help us to have fun, yet also let us have productive discussions that will broaden our perspective. Help us to take the various ideas presented and think of ways to flesh them out. If we do disagree, let it be on the content and not personality conflicts or power plays. Help us to resolve any disputes gracefully. Help us be creative problem solvers and have a great team spirit. As we come together, we do acknowledge that there are those who cannot be here with us due to illness or loss. We pray for those who are sick and those who care for them. Help us dream up effective strategies that empower us to move forward as a team in a meaningful way. Help us to generate good plans that are practical, sustainable, and possible. Guide us toward the best way to action to accomplish our goals. And help us to tackle all the topics we need to discuss, come up with excellent solutions, and leave this meeting inspired and on time. Amen.
Amen. I'm going to take a minute. I need to thank Dale Martin and her staff. She put together an orientation booklet for me and for Mr. Jones, which I can see has already been very helpful and will be very helpful in the future. I thank you very, very much. The other thing I want to thank you for is the Northwest Observer puts out a annual magazine, if you will, and we were lucky enough to have a page put in there. Dale again and her team were able to put this together, and I thought it was a very good job. I shared it with the council. I hope they are in agreement. With that said, let's get on with the business. We need to review and adopt the agenda. Any objection?
Now, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda as is.
I'll second.
Jim?
Whoa.
Oh, sorry.
In December's meeting, we had an item on the agenda concerning the past due water accounts. Council voted to continue this item. This can be referenced on page 11 of the December 9th, 21 meeting minutes. But yet, the water accounts discussion is not on the agenda, so.
Would you like to add it?
Well, if we don't, we're,
Putting it out that much further.
yeah, I think that
So you move to
if
have it
it be
added?
the will of the council, yeah, I think it should be added.
I'll second that motion.
Wherever you want to insert it at,
Tim, I would suggest number 9 under old business, or make it 8B or something.
sounds good to me, so that would be my motion.
I'll accept that amendment.
Jim? Aye. Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I also am aye. Okay. Public safety reports, Todd?
First of all, I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Glad to see everybody back, and obviously we're starting the new year out with a bang. Mother Nature's going to make sure. But for the month of December, we ran a total of 83 calls. 40 of which were fire-related, 43 were medical-related. The one thing that I am happy to report out of that is that not one of the fire incidents included a structure fire where anybody lost any property or were injured by fire during the holiday season. So
Good.
that's always a
Plus.
blessing, and it's a plus, absolutely. So my messaging is kind of interesting because, this time of year, most of the time, I harp on a lot about alternative heating and all, and especially with what's about to come up. So I'm assuming it was done for a reason, but Monday I was putting it together, doing a little research. And the one thing that I found that was interesting was it says 1 in every 7 home fires and 1 in every home fire deaths involve heating equipment. So that's one of the reasons that we really talk about being careful with wood stoves, making sure your chimneys are clean, kerosene heaters and that type stuff. And it just kind of falls right in line with what we're about to experience this weekend with the storm moving in and all. And there'll be a lot of folks, I'm sure, that will rely on some type of alternative heating. And as you all know, you've seen it on the news, don't wait till the last minute. We've got a couple of days. So if you're going to use that, please prepare ahead of time. And we always prepare for the worst, but we hope for the best. And we hope that everybody in here, everybody in our community does that, and that we make it through with no injuries, no fires, and we'll come back next month and have another good report. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Doc.
Thank you very much. I've overlooked something. We need to go back and review and approve the minutes for October 21st and for December 9th and December 31st. The October 21st, 2021 minutes. Are there any objections or any corrections?
Mr. Medlin, I wasn't on council then. I'm not really comfortable voting on minutes that I had nothing to do with, so how would be the appropriate way for me to handle that?
Well, it's appropriate for you to vote on them, just because you're on the sitting board now. You can request to abstain or to not vote, and if that's approved, then that's fine. If it's not approved and you don't vote, then it's a yes. So,
Recuse myself or abstain? If I abstain, then that's voting yes, correct?
if you abstain, which is a no vote, then it's counted. If you abstain from voting, you're not voting, is the way I should say it, then that's going to be counted as a yes, unless you request permission to abstain, in which case, and if the council grants that, then it'll just be 4 members voting. So you can request that they approve you not to vote since you were not sitting.
Okay, council, that would be my request for those meeting minutes that I did not attend as a council member, because I just think that's the best thing for me to do.
On the abstention, Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
I'm nay.
Jimmy?
I guess we don't,
I'm nay as well. So we've got a deadlock.
Do I get to break the tie?
no, you don't get to vote.
So you either need to vote, or if you don't vote, you can vote yes, no, and if you don't vote, it'll be counted as a yes.
Can I change my vote? I'll solve it.
Sure.
I'm a nay too, because I've got every confidence that he's okay
Yeah,
to vote on it,
it was very well written.
whether he votes yes or no.
Okay, to adopt, Jim?
To adopt, aye.
Derek?
We'll make a motion to read it out. I'll make a motion to approve the October 21st, 2021 minutes, the December 9th, 2021 minutes, and the December 21st, 2021 minutes, as written.
I'll second that.
I would like to request those be voted on separately, Mr. Foy, no offense.
None taken. I'll make a motion to approve the October 21st, 2021 minutes as written.
Second?
Okay. Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
I will abstain.
I'll vote aye. The the December 9th minutes, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the December 9th minutes from 2021.
Second?
Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I also. The minutes for December 21st, 2021.
Lastly, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the December 21st special call meeting from 2021.
I'll second it. Jim?
Jim is aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I am also aye. Now we're back in order. Administrative reports, administrative report from the interim town clerk.
We had 6 meters sold this month, 6 non-working meters were replaced, 12 meters were transferred to auto read. That's part of your, couple months ago, voted to replace some of those old ones. 14 applications for transfer of service was received, 41 meters, applications put on hold for builders. We answered 65 811 calls, 665 water bills were sent out today, and 33 work orders were prepared. Other items that we have done this month, with the election, I have updated several agencies across the state with your current contact information. Robin and I both have updated website pages. There's probably still some out there, and if you see a web page that needs new contact information, please let us know. Mayor Crawford and Mr. Jones, both of you are required to take some ethics training. Found out that that training will be scheduled in April. As soon as those dates are available, I will let you know that,
Is that virtual by chance?
probably.
Okay.
There is an Essentials of Government course that includes the ethics portion, but a good course on government that anybody can attend. There was one today, but there's also one that was, has been rescheduled for April, but I don't have the date on that yet.
And the name of that again is
It's Essentials of Government.
Essentials of Government, okay?
As soon as we get the dates on that, we'll let you all know about that as well. Last month, you voted on a resolution to accept the 2021 water plan, and Mr. Matt Casto from North Carolina Rural Water Association stopped in to introduce himself, and he will be assisting us with that. He has asked me for a list of reports. I just wanted to give you a heads up on those. We'll be giving him a water usage report based on residential, commercial, institutional, and industrial connections. Any new water lines that have been installed since last year, any new connections, and any meters that have been replaced. I'm hoping this will be a good learning experience for me since I know very little about the water system. We have continued to work on minutes and for both the planning board and town council. We sent that out by email, a list of those. Talk about that a little bit further, or we can skip over that if you'd like. Any questions about any of those?
Dale, I want to ask one question. How much time and trouble would it be once the minutes, we finalize the minutes, and you've got them ready to, file them? How much trouble is that to send that out into an email? So we'll have a backup, because we hadn't lately, but we have been known to lose files here. And that way, you've got a lot of people that's got those minutes.
None at all. We're
Would you-
certainly happy to do that.
Would that be something that
Yeah,
you
I
guys would
agree.
like to do?
I agree, yeah.
We do plan to get that on the website. That is an option. You can go to the website and get that. I put your agenda packet on the website
Right.
this time. I don't know if any of you had a chance to go and look at it.
Right.
But we intend to do that each month, and we intend to, once you approve the minutes, put the minutes out on the website.
Yeah.
But we'll be glad to send them to you as well.
I like that, that's open and transparent, and that just gives a backup for it.
Okay? Certainly will.
That's great, thank you.
Let's see, my next item. Talk to individually about the files situation here and how disorganized they are for me anyway. Staff and I have talked about reorganizing the files, and we would like permission to work on a Friday, close the office on a Friday afternoon, and come in on Saturday until we're finished, and move files, reorganize the files in such a way, index those files, but we might need some help moving some filing cabinets. We'd like your permission to do that since the staff would be working on a Saturday, possibly.
Is there any objection?
I don't have any objection, but could we maybe work like a community shredding day into that, to where at the end of that, we could shred some of the old stuff that doesn't need to be retained?
Absolutely.
Well, we gotta
we'll
be
need-
careful
we'll need
shredding.
To investigate that.
We've
I know
got
a lot-
stuff back there for 20 years old. I think we're all right.
Really?
Yeah, estimates on things we didn't buy 20 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, some of that stuff needs to
Wish
go.
wish that price was still active.
Yeah.
Maybe we can hold them to it.
Yeah.
Are you talking about bringing in a shredding truck?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
There are
Can we
companies
get 'em
that
on
will
Saturday?
come on site, and it's something we can make a community event out of if anybody was interested in that.
Sure.
We would probably need to charge maybe $5 or something a box to help pay for it, but you could promote it as a community event and have anybody that's interested come by town hall, pay their $5 and shred their documents. I haven't investigated it yet, so I don't know what the cost will be, but we have thought about that.
The only reason I brought that up, Jim, is, you know, we've had some things that we're still, I think, looking for. You know, we wanna be careful about, you know, what we do till we possibly find those things. And, I mean, I didn't know we had 20-year-old stuff, but, I mean, I agree with that, what you're saying.
Yeah, there's things in there like the generator, like two service providers ago.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know, those things are just irrelevant.
Yeah.
There should be a retention guide that the state puts out. So if we follow
Yes.
that retention guide,
Yeah.
and then along with that, if you have something specific that I mean, we can certainly take everything that we think doesn't fall within the retention, put it over here, and then we can all come up here and go through it real fast. Just real, you know, and if there's something we're not sure about, we can always put it back. But I think you can be surprised at how much stuff's in there, because I find a lot.
I don't have a problem with it. The only thing, and I just wanna make sure we don't grab a whole thing of papers and some of this stuff that I'm talking about might be in the middle of it or something.
No, I would hope that what she's talking about as far as the filing goes, is actually organizing the files and going through what's there, placing it where it needs, and if it's outside the retention, then we can make a decision on it.
All right. You see what I'm saying, though, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
On your next agenda, I didn't want to
Miss,
fill this one up.
let me put a bookmark right there a second. I do want to let council and staff know that the town did vote on a retention policy
Yes.
a number of years ago. From what I recall, Miss Vicki White Lawrence obtained the necessary information, and I recall the policy is probably 20 pages, something like that. So I don't know how to tell you to find it in the minutes.
There are multiple copies in the office here, but I'm not sure they were followed.
Well, if we have a retention policy, then aren't we supposed to follow our retention policy?
You do, you have one adopted. On your next agenda, I didn't want to fill this one up any more than it already was, but I will bring to you the new one. They redid it last year, and it was published about a month ago.
And that's the retention policy.
I'm sorry, I didn't they didn't say they had voted on one
They
last
have.
year.
They have redone it, and there is a new retention schedule, and I had planned to put it on the February agenda for you all to adopt.
So do the three, what I'll call old council members, remember voting on this? Maybe one of you,
I think,
one of you
Jim,
can fill me in.
I think she's saying that the state has adopted a new guidelines.
You adopted the state one. I have the resolution that was adopted by the council at that time.
So she's saying the state has revised that since then, and she wants us to relook at the updated version.
does that require us to vote again?
I thought you said it was already voted, it was already approved.
No, the state has
State has done it, but we have
has
not.
redone it. They've sent it out, and now municipalities need to readopt it.
Okay.
So you would
We
readopt it.
haven't readopted it, we said. I was getting ready to say, I'm
It's-
drawing a blank stare from me.
Very similar to what it was. They've just relabeled some things and moved things around.
I know you,
I-
not to jump around, but I know you want to get these files done. My suggestion would be, if we're going to do the shredding, we need to do the shredding in a little bit warmer climate, or a little better weather, I would think, especially if we're going to invite the other people in.
Yes, we're not gonna do it while it's, bad weather. We had picked a day that works for our schedules for February 11th, which is after your next council meeting, to be able to do that.
Okay?
We can postpone it, but
Well, but we can hold whatever it is you want to discard.
yes.
inside.
We'll box it all up, and
Yeah.
we can go through it however detailed you guys want.
We got a mayor's office back there that's just useless, so.
I'll second that.
So, feel free to stack it all up in there.
So
Whatever
you just
got.
want to do this one day? Are you saying one?
Start on Friday,
Right.
and then if we need to come in on Saturday to finish, we will.
See if you can get the shredder. See if you can get the shredder on Saturday. The shredder would be great for the community.
And it may be that
Well, I mean,
we'll
they-
do the
you know-
reorganizing first and then
Yes,
schedule the
yes, of
shredding
course.
day
Yeah.
I mean,
after
if
that.
they get everything to shred and get them in boxes, they don't even have to be here. One of us can come up here and shred,
Sure, absolutely.
you know.
So it sounds like we have a plan
Yeah.
to adopt a new retention policy in the February meeting, and then potentially do this on the 11th and set up a shredder, so.
But we have no idea how much we're talking about expending on the shredder truck. I feel,
Expensive? What were we talking about, $500, $1,000?
It depends on how much you
Okay,
Kim, why don't you do one for your work and then send it up here for free?
that's a thing to do.
mine's not coming till after tax season, so.
Well, we don't want to wait that long, do we?
What about a bonfire?
Bonfire in the park.
In the park. Bonfire in the park.
Okay, all right. We didn't have a planning board meeting last month, so I don't know, is there anything in the planning board that needs to be covered? Obviously, no. Events committee, Mr. Foy?
No updates on any new events. Just, again, wanted to thank everybody for their participation, coming out, helping support and sponsoring in the parade. It was a real nice parade, and just very grateful for everybody on that.
Property committee, Jim?
No, other than, just want to give a heads up that we are in contact with our landscaper about clearing the parking lot possibly on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how much ice we get. So they're under, they're kind of already on call. Their rate is $125 an hour, including sidewalks around Town Hall, plus ice melt if warranted at $1 a pound. So, we'll kind of monitor that, since we're closed on Monday, we'll monitor that Monday morning, and if the temperatures rise and we need it or don't need it, we'll call them.
Okay. Kim, financial report?
Yes, sir. We'll start with the general fund.
Can you pull your microphone towards you, please? Get it on record.
Let me ask you something, Dale. When we have the audio people in, would it be possible for them to add another microphone to that table?
You can certainly ask them.
Yeah. Facilitate things, I think, a little bit.
Okay. All right. We'll start with the general fund. The Bank of Oak Ridge checking money market account, we had, and this is as of December 31st, 2021, $23,230.41. Total cedars in the Bank of Oak Ridge for the general fund is $2,558,070.11. Fidelity Bank, which is our checking that we use for the general fund, the ending balance is, as of 12/31, is $570,890.12. Petty cash is $150. Our accounts receivable, with the salaries and FICA for Gary, water reimbursement, and water expense due to the general fund, the total is $56,452.07. On the budget versus actual, for the month of December, we had, my apologies, for the total from July 1 through 12/31, our total reimbursement from water for the shared overhead expense is $53,186.79. And I do have a couple of things to go to, when I finish the reports that I would like to ask council on. And that's all for the general fund at this point. For the water enterprise account, the total CEDARS as of 12/31/21 is $499,505.58. Our Fidelity Water Enterprise checking account is $595,233.95. Our CRF, which is the Capital Reserve Fund, is $122,169.42. The North Carolina Management Fund, $522,508.79, and then our regular savings is $45,048.02. Our accounts receivables, on the balance sheet, this is our total receivables from, and Chris and I had a pretty lengthy discussion about this the other day, and I think she contacted Eric today, is that his name? Eric, with the water system. We're trying to find some other reports as far as trying to find out a few things on these past due water accounts. As far as how in the reports, I would like to have a different report that I could pull from that, from the software that will help me more or less get that down, narrowed down to the penny, even better than what it is. But the receivables for, and this is from all the way past, is $32,117.91. If you look at the budget versus actual on the water enterprise account, the AR water sales, where it's got the accounts receivable, the $29,345.96, that is just for the month of December, that were balances, customer balances as of 12/31/21. So when you look at the 32,000, it includes the 29. Okay. Okay. And I did have a couple of questions. On the general fund, I wanted to request from council if you would please grant permission, or if you guys would move $660 from category 60-300, which is legal and professional attorney, to category 60-200, which is the audit, to make this budget $13,860. This will increase the overhead shared expense for the water enterprise account, category 15-0005, by $329.24. What happened was when council approved the contract in May for Rouse and Gardner, the actual budget at that time, I don't think we had actually finalized the budget at that time, was, give me a second, 13. We were $660 short on it. So when we wrote, it was for $13,200. His invoice was $13,860. If you guys do grant permission to move that to move it from the attorney fees to the audit, then we will not have to do an amendment, because it's moving within the category title, not outside of that category. But since we do not share overhead expense for the attorney fees, we will need to either decrease an account in the expense on the water side, or either increase revenue by $329.24. Did anybody understand?
Your way sounds simpler, your first suggestion sounds simpler.
I have a
Just move
related
it to
question real quick, if you will indulge me.
Okay.
The attorney sends just one billing and nobody separates those hours between the general fund budget and the water enterprise fund budget. Is that what you just said?
Correct, that is correct. They're not shared. That's correct.
Okay.
Kim, I understand what you're saying. I appreciate the request. I'm going to make a motion that we decrease the legal and professional attorney fees from $50,000 to $49,300, which is a $700 decrease, and offset that with an increase in our audit amount from $13,200 to $13,900.
Okay. That's on the general fund. They've got to pass it.
I'm dying on the vine up here.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I gotta second it. Cause I said I would.
Jim?
Put it to the floor.
Jim's aye.
Derek?
Derek is aye.
Jimmy?
I'm an aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I also am aye.
Thank you.
We're open for citizens' comments. We've got Abby and Carrie Price are here this evening. If you'd like to tell us what you guys are all about. That means something.
Hello. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Abby Price, and this is my husband, Carrie. We spoke with Mayor Crawford on Tuesday about the idea of having a coffee truck or trailer in the parking lot located next to the historical downtown Stokesdale. The big Stokesdale's painted sign on that end right there. Our idea is to have the mobile unit fully operational until we are able to move into a storefront in the historical part of town. Our goal is to offer a variety of coffee, specialty beverages like hot chocolate, lattes, or smoothies. And when the storefront becomes available, we will provide the same products and quality of service along with the seating for customers and access to Wi-Fi. Carrie and I have worked in the restaurant industry for over 20 years. Although this is a little different, we understand a blend of customer service and good coffee will be a winning combination. We would like to bring a place that everyone can come relax, maybe do a little work, catch up with friends and family, and enjoy a good cup of coffee. We think a local family-owned coffee truck or trailer will be a great fit for this up-and-coming small town. Thank you for your time, and doesn't everyone love a good cup of coffee?
Should have brought samples.
Working on that.
We haven't got that far quite yet.
Anybody have any questions for us, or?
Have you talked to the health department?
Not yet.
Okay.
We know that if, we have been, since we worked in the restaurant business, we know that if we cut any fruit or anything like that, we have to be inspected by the health department. There are different guidelines for having a truck and a trailer versus a brick and mortar restaurant, and that's what we were working on. So we're trying to get through all the steps before, like getting permission to be able to do this, then getting the place and going from there.
And we've actually already spoke with Mr. Moorhead, Matt Moorhead, who owns the MCM properties. He's all aboard. He's already told us he's all for going with trailer or truck to begin with in that parking lot, which he already owns. And then if and when one of the units that's not sold yet to him opens up, he's already told us he'd welcome us right on in from there to there. We would just like to go ahead and get started, get our name out there, get customers before we made the jump into the storefront. So,
Do we have any zoning conflict?
I'm not sure. That would be,
I was gonna suggest that you contact the the zoning planning administrator and just check with him.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just to make sure that there's
I have
nothing on there that your use doesn't violate anything.
Okay, yes, sir. I have contacted Guilford County, left a couple of messages and haven't received a phone call back yet as far as licenses and stuff like that.
Oliver Bass is the planner for the town of Stokesdale
left him two
that we
messages.
contract with Guilford County. If you're having trouble reaching him, I might suggest that you email our town clerk and ask her to forward it to Mr. Bass. They have all these firewalls that make it hard to get an email through sometimes.
I gotcha. Yes, sir. Thank you for the information.
He works from home a lot too, and does it, because I think he live in Raleigh and he travels, so,
He lives in Raleigh, but
sometimes it's tough to get him by phone.
I understand. Yeah, that's, both the people I talked to before or spoke with before I left a message said that it might be.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
expect it right away, so that's.
if you'd like to jot down your email address, I'll be happy to connect you to, if you just want to, after this.
Mark, you had a question?
Sure.
What
Well, it's
What are
gonna
we doing
be
here?
in, right where next to, it's a little parking lot next to the historic downtown under where the painting is, the town of Stokesdale. As far as exactly where in the lot, we're not sure quite yet. We're gonna work with Matt. We wanted to make sure we could first before we went that far. But,
This is not a
we
discussion.
had spoke with Matt and we said we would figure something out in that.
My question, I guess, addressed to you, why is the town involved in this?
We're not yet.
I-
This is
I
something
would ask
sure.
for a point of order.
Point of order?
I'm down for a point of order. What's the reasoning? Just,
This is not an agenda item, and we're starting a discussion. What I would suggest is Mr. Nadell stand up after these folks do and make those points that he's concerned about, so that we're not having a discussion off of the agenda.
Okay,
that's cool.
okay. Thank you, folks.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Thank
much.
you, guys.
Yeah, great idea, and I like your enthusiasm.
Thank you very much.
I wish you luck. I know what you're up against. Mark, would you like to speak?
My name is Mark Nadell, 8211 Wendy Gale Drive, Stokesdale. I think it's a great idea. I really do. I guess the only question is why is the town addressing this when it's not town property and it's not town business? And I'm not sure how it all fits in. That was my only question. I think it's a great idea, but why would the council be?
I don't think
not.
we are. We're just,
That's the point I was just trying to make.
Okay, then,
are. We're just receiving their information as information and,
okay,
helping them
I
facilitate
invited
it.
Make comments,
Connecting them to the,
I wish you luck. I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
thank y'all for speaking, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime.
Mr. Mayor, can I speak on behalf of a citizen that's not here tonight?
Yes, sir.
Miss Kristen Law, one of our local residents, is helping to facilitate the renovation of 24 mobiles at Northwest Guilford High School in lieu of the 60th anniversary of the high school. They were going to completely renovate 24 of the mobile classrooms through this initiative, and they're inviting the public to come out and hear more about it on January 22nd, 2022 at 10 a.m. at the high school. It'll be an informational session and mobile adoption event. I think they've got about half of them adopted, so they have about 10 or 12 more that needs to be taken care of. It's a great cause, and it affects, a lot of the issues that the school system is obviously well behind on. They're asking for a community involvement and try to make a difference in our kids and their environment that they have to learn in. So if anybody is interested, definitely show up on the 22nd and learn a little bit more about it. Thank you.
Is there a name for that, Jim? Is it the mobile renovation?
It's called Mobile Makeover is what I've got. It just says Mobile Makeover. I'm sure if you go on the high school's Facebook page or website, there's probably something on their PTO website. And she's gonna try to come to the next meeting, but she just couldn't make it tonight. She asked me to pass this along. She did provide an email address or she says visit Northwest, the NWHSPTSO.org, which would be Northwest High School PTSO.org would be the place to find out more information.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Law.
We good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Old business. We're going to have to do something about the HVA system. The consideration is of a proposal from Stokesdale Heating and Air Conditioning to replace HVA units at Town Hall. This was continued from the 9th of November and also from the 9th of December. And there is the bid in your paperwork given to you this evening. That's the other thing to thank you for, Dale, is putting all of this together.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of questions, if I may.
Certainly.
This project was started before I was sworn in, so I'm coming in the middle here. Did the town of Stokesdale have an independent HVAC technician provide an assessment for the existing equipment?
I, like you, am new to this, so I have no answer to that.
Well,
Can
I would
either
direct
Do you mean by independent, do you mean somebody else other than Stokesdale Heating and Air?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, what do you mean by that?
with respect to Stokesdale Heating and Air, this is kind of like going to a barber and asking them if you need a haircut.
I understand, but that's what you're saying then.
Well,
And the answer is no, it wasn't.
I'm asking, I guess, the three council members that have been working on this.
Well, I'm giving you the answer. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm answering the right question. I mean, they're independent from the government, but no, we didn't get we haven't paid anybody else to go up there and do that.
Okay.
But we still have time to do it because the heat's working good.
And then by extension of that, it's just, I don't know what our limit should be before we should be making an effort to obtain more than one bid on an item. For me, $10,000 is getting on the edge of that. If it were, at some point, it's not worth staff time, council time, attorney time to debate these things when we're talking about spending $200. But this is as much as $20,450. So I'm just trying to catch up here.
Hey, Tim, if I could just add some light to that.
Okay.
No, we did not get another estimate, but Stokesdale, we had one replaced or two replaced last summer. So I think the idea was just be consistent across the board. We've got several units on the roof, so we're not having to wonder which vendor to call if one goes out versus the other. So I think that was kind of the thought process of using the same vendor for all the units.
Good point. The previous units that were replaced, can you tell me whether they were Train units or York units?
I don't know without going back. It's been at least 6 months to a year.
They were replaced.
They were York. Maybe. Train is fine equipment, but what I find in dealing with it over the years is that they're pretty tight-fisted with their parts. You can't buy generic parts for Train. You have to have a Train distributor and Train dealer involved, and I find that a little restrictive sometimes. So that's my sole objection with the Train brand.
But we know it's York, so we don't have that. That's not part of the.
Now, there's one thing we do need to talk about, and we can, like, the heat's working, as we said. And we can kick it down the road, but the way supplies are, my son's running into it in the garage, getting parts for things. I don't know what the availability, I don't know if inflation's gonna hit this 6 or 7%. I mean, there's those issues, so if we're gonna do something else, or if you wanna get somebody to come up else and look at it, or if council does, we need to get it done because you know, that's happening everywhere, I think, in a lot of businesses, and it probably help, happening here.
The plus for me is the fact that they're a local business, and if we can do business with the local suppliers, that would be my preference. Now, as far as the price, I'll be honest, it seems a little high. I bought some of these things over the years, but not for such a facility like this. But,
Probably the difference.
and could very well be, could very well be. As you said, you've had dealings with these, with Stokesdale Heating and Air, so we have some kind of a track record. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we accept the bid of Stokesdale Heating and Air to replace the, help me out here, is it the 2 units?
Clerk office and council chambers.
The clerk office and the council chambers unit. I'm just looking here to satisfy Tim's wish. Am I missing that they did bid us for a York as well?
Yeah.
So that,
450.
Now, York's what they have now. We wanna go with York, I would think.
Right.
oh yeah, I'm on the wrong page, okay.
Mr. Rigsby, I got it in my hand here.
Okay, go ahead.
The paperwork from Stokesdale Heating and Air is just more in a way of a letter form as opposed to a quote, really. But it's dated October the 11th, 2021, and it is for two units, a 5-ton York unit to be installed over the clerk's office that is $10,975, and then a council chambers unit that is also a York unit that is a 3-ton unit that is $10,175. And I think there's a little bit of a price break worked into here if we do both units, because the total down at the bottom is $20,450. So I would just like to see a reference made to the date of this letter, the location of the units, and the size of the units and the brand of the units, and the total price we're gonna spend.
Can we include this letter in the minutes? Would that satisfy?
Fine by me.
Dale, can we include this letter in the minutes?
But Mr. Rigsby, would you accept all those items as an amendment to your motion?
Yes. So I'll re-amend my motion that we accept the letter dated October 11th, 2021 in its entirety with regards to replacing the clerk office unit and the council chamber unit with the York option for a total cost of $20,450.
I'll second.
I'm gonna vote for it. Council will need to approve a budget amendment in February, I believe, Kim. And I think, just take a look at that and let us know.
We will.
How about how much is it?
That much.
Oh, really? There's nowhere to pull it from. We're gonna have to pull it from the general, from the savings.
In my opinion, yes. But Kim's gonna take a look at that.
Jim?
Jim is aye.
Derek?
Is everybody ready to vote, or any questions or anything?
I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut us short.
Jimmy's scratching his head. I normally know that's.
Oh, is that an indication? Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
thank you.
I just, I wonder,
I
It,
have a
it
question.
does need to be done for the reasons that I think you said, is the supply
yeah,
chain issues, and it is hot in here and in there in
well,
the summer.
there's a possibility that they may come back and, you don't know. That's October. A lot of stuff's happened since October, but.
Yeah, they could come back and not honor that particular bid, but if that's the case,
They might be listening.
Well, then if it does, then it'd be time to bid it out.
Lock it in right now.
But it's, it may take them a while. I guess what I'm concerned, it may take them a while to get it. That's why I think we
Right,
should go and vote.
you're absolutely right.
You know,
We did contact them prior to the last meeting, we did again. We did contact them prior to that meeting, December's meeting, and the price was too good.
okay, good, great.
Fantastic.
hey, Jimmy, your vote?
If we are going
Oh, is it
to,
time to vote? You
Your
already
vote?
voted? Yeah, I'm aye. It gets to me.
We got 2 council members voting.
Let them vote.
Jimmy's aye.
I'm an aye.
You're
I'm
aye.
aye.
Tim's aye. I'm also aye.
Kim's got something she was going.
Yes, ma'am.
Will there be a contract on this that we have to sign? Because if there is, I can't accept it till the budget amendment's done. I'm just saying.
You would need to issue a purchase order, and I don't think you
Okay.
should issue that until the budget amendment is done.
Okay, thank you.
And-
There
and
probably
Miss-
won't be a contract to be signed. There's probably a quote, and then they do the work based
Okay,
off the quote.
wasn't sure. I just have to put that.
Yeah,
stamp.
I presume that we have a one-year implied warranty on the installation and workmanship and what have you, and then whatever warranty the manufacturer offers on this equipment. It's not specified here. You know, I'm well aware of the joiners, the local company and what have you, and I'm just I'm comfortable with them. I'd like to see a little bit more detail in our paperwork when we spend $20,450.
But it has been approved.
Okay. We're gonna ask them to detail the warranty for us.
Yeah.
once it's-
Yeah, I think that's important, and a
Yes.
good point.
Next item is water delinquencies.
Mayor Matt,
Sure.
before we go to that one.
Yes, ma'am.
I do not have a balanced budget in the water. I wasn't completely finished with the financials. And I don't have a balanced budget in the water because we did the approval on, I'm out of budget now on the water side by $349.30. So I need to request a budget amendment to either decrease another expense or please increase revenue on the water side in regards to the
And I've always got something to say here, guys, but what I find, or it's been my experience in the past, it gets really, really confusing in this building if we don't have these budget amendments written down in front of us when we vote on them. They're hard for us to figure out what's going on. They're hard for staff to track when we do vote on them, and that somebody's got to make a paper trail anyway. So I just, there's a limit to how many of these I'm willing to vote on without having it in front of me.
I think Kim, if you would include that in the February, along with the budget amendment we need to make for the HVAC system,
Okay,
we'll be fine.
okay,
Thank you for pointing that out.
okay.
Okay, back to water delinquencies. Mr. Jones, you had an idea on this, I believe.
Yes, sir. I was trying to avoid being a bad guy as much as possible. Christmas is over. I did get a copy of a random water bill, and every water bill this town sends out has a statement on it on the return stub. It says, please make checks payable to Town of Stokesdale, provides the address, and it states account 60 days past due will be disconnected and a reconnect fee of $75 added to the account. Balance must be paid in full. So it seems like we're talking about reinventing the wheel. I think what has happened here, I wasn't here, but what has happened here when COVID came along and everything that came with it, that the town kind of froze all these collection activities. Now those items have expired, and we have all these past due balances, and I don't have them in front of me. I, for one, haven't seen the people, the names of the people that owe this money, and I just know if I don't pay my phone bill, power bill, or any other bills, they tend to turn it off, and I just know that we can't continue like this. I did have a conversation with Gene Robertson and asked him if there was going to be any problem him getting around to perform this service, and he indicated no, it wouldn't be any problem. And I spoke to Miss Martin. She mentioned that she has the name of a couple of outside agencies that will attempt to help people that can't pay their water bills. And so that leaves us with a decision to make. What are we waiting for? Our obligation is to the town of Stokesdale.
I agree with you, Tim. The decision not to turn off water or pursue further collections per se was not a town decision back during COVID. I believe that was a state, utility commission mandate per se. But that has been lifted to the best of my knowledge. So I do agree with that we follow the policy that appears to be in place that Tim has read.
Do we need to send out any kind of a final, this is it, you got 30 days?
You know, I think the water deputy clerk, Priscilla, you know, can pursue an email, if an email address available, and a phone call with leaving a message.
Something that doesn't require us using postage? Yeah.
The choice here, as I see it, do we order them to be cut off next week or the following week? The deputy clerk may be able to reach these people by email or a phone call, and I don't object to that as a courtesy, but I don't want to get the town in a situation where we don't disconnect unless we speak to someone. That's a little, you know, unmanageable.
Okay, so
So-
did we set it that it's turned off by the end of the month? That's 2 weeks out.
I'll make a motion, have a motion,
All right.
Can I ask a question first?
of course.
Tom, is there a requirement, I know the, people at Natural Gas does it, when they go to cut you off, they leave a note on your door or something. Do you know if there's a requirement that we have to give some kind of written notice before we cut off a utility?
To my knowledge, the water account, I don't think you do.
Okay.
To my knowledge, and Dale or if you heard or Priscilla, what her normal procedures are.
I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, I'm not either.
We'd like to mention this, I did talk with Priscilla a little bit more about it today. When Councilman Jones and I talked about it earlier.
Kim.
We're not really sure on the disconnect fee or reconnect fee. Sorry. There's a reconnect fee, there is no disconnect fee.
Right.
However, we do pay Gene $50 to go turn it off. Customer comes in and pays the reconnect fee of $75, we pay them another $50 to go out and turn it back on. In the whole, $25.
I covered this with Gene day before yesterday, and he said that he was billing to do the disconnect, but he hadn't been billing to reconnect. So it's costing the town $75. That is if nothing crazy goes on, they try to turn the water back on, they break something, you know, that requires an extra level of service with the town to take the meter out if that continues, those sorts of things.
But the customer has a one-time $50 fee.
No, it's 75. It's printed on the water bill.
I'm sorry, the customer has one-time 75, and we net $25 out of that.
Okay. What happens is Yates Construction goes out and it turns the valve off in the meter vault and installs a pin that has this yellow tag on it that basically prevents somebody from tampering with it, because that's what the tag says. You know, it's kind of like the warning on a mattress. But
I should be in jail.
if that doesn't work, what we've done in the past is we've had to go out and had Gene take the meters out and you know, to charge them to reinstall the meters. What happens, or what has happened in the past, if they're padlocked and someone gets aggressive with them, they tend to break the meter setters and cost the town a bunch of money having to dig it all out and replace the broken parts and that sort of thing. So that is the reason why we sort of try to avoid the padlocks.
I make a motion that the clerk's office send out either emails or phone calls to these delinquent accounts. They provide the information that we might have for anyone who could assist anyone who is delinquent that may be in need, and that we have these delinquent accounts, if they're not resolved by the end of the month, we shut them down.
Mr. Mayor, could I make a friendly amendment to your motion?
Certainly.
I would like for Tom Medlin just to confirm that via email to council that all municipalities are now, there's no mandate on us.
I will, I was gonna do that.
Okay,
And I'll let you know by next week on that.
okay, that sounds good, thank you.
Yeah.
Can we move ahead without that?
We should not disconnect anything until we get legal confirmation that the mandate to cut
I mean,
off.
You can move forward on the motion.
Right.
If I find you got a problem, I'm gonna tell them, don't do it.
Should I, okay, so let me amend that.
Good.
Pending
I just need a second.
Tom's
Yeah,
Okay,
I added that part.
good, all right.
We're good. We tag teamed that bad boy.
Jim?
Can I,
Jim is aye.
well, excuse me here.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Sorry, Mr. Jones.
Can I clarify something? We're asking the town staff to make one courtesy attempt with a telephone call or an email. Their best faith effort to make a courtesy contact there, warning the water account owner that their water is going to be disconnected. We're not going to be waiting to hear back from those people if we can't get in touch with them, correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. The one more thing I would like to request, if we can look at a calendar here and work this out so these disconnects occur the first of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, so we're not disconnecting water on a Thursday or Friday, and that will give them an opportunity to come pay their bill and get their water turned back on before the weekend.
Set the cutoff date at the 24th.
It's,
No.
you got the calendar?
Yeah, set the cutoff date at the 24th. That's a Monday.
Okay. 24th or the 25th then?
Okay, 25th.
Does, do we open ourselves up as far as telephone calls to human error and liability? And, I mean, Priscilla, leave a message or something. I mean, if somebody did something like that, I know in the private sector,
It's on the bill.
no.
It's
no,
on the
no,
bills.
and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a phone call, when you've got to be real careful when you're doing collection phone calls. I mean, you call up and you talk to somebody's brother that's at a house, and it's their water bill, and you talk, you know, I guess the wife's okay now, but I know in the private sector, you can cause all kinds of problems. If you leave a message or something like that, there's you know.
What Mr. Landers is speaking about is maintaining the privacy of the account owner. We have that obligation as well.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, all it takes is one mistake. I just wonder if the phone call scares me because you can get a little human error there, talk to the wrong person, or, but a letter, I mean, what does it cost to send a certified letter?
Oh, good Lord.
Not as much as an HVAC system.
Too much.
certified.
Too much?
I mean, I don't know how many accounts how many accounts are we talking about?
There's not that many. I think it was in your last packet, maybe 15 or 20, if that many. I think the amount was,
Can we resolve the phone call situation by simply asking for the person whose name is on the bill and not leaving a message beyond that?
Well, you can, but I'm just saying, you know, you put yourself in line for human error when you start making phone calls. I'm not gonna tell you how I know that.
But you can accomplish the same thing with an email or a letter.
That's right.
And that may be,
Personal, confidential.
that may be easier for the staff to deal with too, rather than trying to make a bunch of phone calls.
Just a normal letter.
Well, Mr.
older accounts we don't have emails for. Now, whether it's any of the delinquent ones, I don't know.
Sure.
But I know,
With anything after
60 is the
60.
policy.
The bill says 60.
After 60.
Mr. Medlin, a question, please.
Yes, sir.
If we do this, we send letters, we make phone calls, and then the next round of disconnects rolls around and we fail to exercise the same level of care, are we opening a town up to possible problems? I feel like we need to treat everybody the same, so we're careful what we do here because we may be doing the same thing from now on, and, you know, this,
25 accounts.
How many? Right. Well, I'm totally against phone calls.
well,
Okay.
a certified mail for 25 plus staff time is, to me, significant.
Do we? Right, well, I mean, it don't have to be certified, just send it confidential, I mean, right on it, I'm just against I mean, you know, hey, you get 3 more to vote on it, but I just think you open yourself up to phone calls.
I appreciate the caution. I think you're right.
If I may, let me withdraw that portion of the motion concerning the,
Tom was pointing there, I'd like to.
I was going to answer your question, Tim. You were asking me about, are we setting ourselves up for a precedent type situation if we do letters or whatever this time. And I don't think so because COVID put a stop on everything, and we really haven't done much, if anything, since on collection efforts since that. And my understanding is that the time frame, as I recall reading what those requirements were, that they had to try to work something out and make payments or whatever, all that has expired by January. So we're starting to get back into collection, and I think it's appropriate to say, okay, you know, that this is passed, we're now starting our regular, normal collection efforts again, you know, which will include cutoffs after 60 days. And then I think what the mayor was saying, we'll put something in the letter that, you know, if you qualify or we have an eligible program, here's the information about it. And then we just let them know that their account's gonna be turned off on the 24th or 25th because they're more than 60 days old, you know, unless they come make payment.
Well, I just would like to get us to the place where it's understood, maybe we put it in a letter, that this is a one-time courtesy, that this is not gonna be a new policy.
Right.
You know, it puts the staff in a bad place, you know, when somebody's water's been cut off and, you know, somebody's not in the best mood when they come through the front door, and I want to make it easy as possible on the staff to address their concerns, and I just feel like instead of for the staff getting into canceling an individual, that maybe we could just get it on a sheet of paper and say, here are the two agencies that we can refer you to, you need to contact them, and get our staff out of the middle of that. Does it?
Would it be possible to send it out to all water customers, you know, that we're doing this, that if you're behind, from this point forward with the water bill? I mean, I don't know,
Yes.
is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just put it on the water bill, that way you know they're getting the water bill.
Are you talking about sending the paperwork on?
Sending whatever verbiage we want to put on it on the water bill, that, yeah,
Adding a footer.
adding
Could
it
we,
to it.
could we simply buy a stamp that says past due, cut off within 30 days
Yeah,
if
well, I
not
know,
paid or something?
there's enough space on there to do that.
Buy a past due stamp, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
or something like that to get
If
their
it- I
attention.
mean, I don't know how the printer set it up.
Priscilla does stamp it before it's sent out.
Oh, does she?
She does.
Yeah.
Big red stamp.
Well, see, that ought to be a violation of your privacy too, because that's going through the postal service, and all it is a postcard.
Well, you're not saying that, you're sending this to everybody. You're not
If you're
saying,
past
you're
due.
not saying any individual, you're just saying that, you know, from this point forward, anybody that's past due, or however, whatever verbiage, maybe Tom will come up with it, that we need to put. It should be short and sweet. Hey, you know, catch up, or we gotta find some water
I think
somewhere else.
That verbiage is already on there, I think we just need to enforce it. If she's putting past due on there, it's 60 days already on there, let's just,
I think you've already covered that. It's just
Yeah.
a question of whether you want to courtesy let them know that it's going to happen for all past due accounts more than 60 days. And, you know, if you've got a sheet of paper that tells them what kind of programs are available, put that in there to them.
Yeah.
Nobody out there would expect this kind of extension from Duke Energy, from absence of
AT&T.
Yeah, but we're not-
of
we're
a
not-
state
we're not-
mandate
we're not Duke
or
Energy.
anybody else. So I just feel like we're gonna get ourselves in the habit of this, and we'll have to hire a part-time deputy clerk at some point if we keep this up.
Okay, so amend my motion to exclude the telephone calls, but rather to anyone that we cannot contact by email to go ahead and send a U.S. Postal Service letter stating that it will be cut off as of the 24th or 25th for any of those people that we don't have an email address for.
Tomorrow's Friday, the 14th. Staff will probably get those letters out the 17th, 18th. They'll get them a couple days later, and then they'll have 4 days. I would suggest we move the cutoff date to February 7th.
I don't have any objection to that amendment. Do we have a second now?
I would just remind council, it's our duty to collect this money.
Then I would say, let's not do a letter at all. Let's start Monday.
No, I mean, we're in a tough spot, but
I'm just speaking to the letter and the logistics of getting it out and timing and of all that.
Well, you got to understand what we've done as a town is, you know, that over the years, they've let people slide. And that's why we're in the situation we're in. If we'd been following a policy to start with, we wouldn't. So therefore, giving somebody, I mean, you know, a few weeks now to say, hey, you know, this is it. You know, I mean, what, we got 25 accounts? I mean, how much are we gonna lose, you know, between that? And I mean, I think that shows goodwill. We're not Duke Power, and we're not Southern Bell or any of those corporate giants. I believe the few days is just not that big a deal to me. I think they should pay their bill, but I don't want to see anybody get their water cut off. And give them, you know, give just a little bit of time to let them know we mean business, and then they'll see that, yeah, hey, you know, and the ones that don't do it will.
When do the bills go out?
They went out today.
Okay, so by February the 7th or before, there won't be another billing?
No.
Okay, so whether you pick the 24th or the 7th, and, you know, whenever you're gonna get them out.
I'm not gonna vote to just cut it off. I know we can. Yeah, we can do a lot of things. But I'm not gonna vote for it. I'll vote to send a letter and give them a few days and you know, and do that, because it does need to be taken care of. But I am not voting to just start cutting water off.
This letter is gonna be a general form letter. It'll go to all 25. It'll be just one copy to dear sir or madam. As far as putting that out, Dale, do you foresee any real problem in doing that? I mean, it's a matter of addressing the envelope and putting a stamp on it. And I tell you what I would suggest.
Their name needs to be on, it needs to be addressed to somebody.
Not the letter necessarily, I think the envelope.
I would say at least the dear account holder of a, you know, have the account number on there, so it's a specific letter to them,
Okay.
not
So
a-
that
just a
that
general letter.
complicates
We
things.
need to have the amount that they need to pay too.
Yeah, I think it needs to be specific to each person.
If they just gotta catch it, they got, you know, they would have to catch it up to the 60-day mark, or to a certain mark.
So to Derek's point, the 7th makes more sense, because if you're gonna have to personalize the things, that'll take a little bit of time.
25 letters shouldn't take much time at all. Do a letter and you can merge it.
You think so?
You can just go in there and punch a button, can't you, to punch to the individual ones and I mean, you print the water accounts.
Set up the data files.
You're not gonna have to handwrite them, are you?
We need to figure out how many
That's what I'm
keystrokes
saying.
that is.
I love it when somebody says, don't you just have to push a button?
Okay, so where do we stand?
We haven't voted yet. I think we're gonna vote on the motion using the date of February 7th.
But you've asked him to amend it to February 7th instead of January 24th
I have.
as the beginning date for cutoffs. Are you gonna accept his?
I'll accept that amendment.
Now, I don't think anybody's seconded your motion yet, so you need a
No.
second.
Jim Rigsby will second the motion.
I'm sorry,
All
who
right.
seconded that?
Jim.
Jim?
Okay.
Well, let's read it out, so I know what we're voting on.
that took the words out of my mouth. I'd like for the motion to be read.
Oh, boy.
All right, let's write it out or whatever.
All right. I'll make a motion
Well,
that,
the motion's already made,
Yeah.
seconded.
yeah,
Just restate it. What is the motion?
okay, that's a good idea. All right, I'm gonna restate the motion, to have Tom Medlin confirm that municipalities, hold on, this is a lot to spill out. We're good. That was part of it. Confirm that municipalities are within their right, in other words, outside the utility mandate that was applied last year, to disconnect water on delinquent accounts, while also having the water deputy clerk send out a letter, first-class mail, to all delinquent accounts beyond 60 days, notifying them that their water will be cut off on February 7th unless they are unless they're able to pay their bill or make arrangements with the deputy clerk.
Great. What day of the week's February the 7th? Can somebody tell me?
Probably a Monday.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay, I have a question. When you say make arrangements, what are you saying?
I'm going to amend my motion to take that out.
You weren't making a motion. you
To
were
write a
restating.
check.
That wasn't part
So
of it.
do they need
Arrange
to,
to get your checkbook out.
do they need to bring the account completely, or within 60 days, or completely zeroed out?
Now, I think that the policy is they have to pay their account current. Yeah, when
Bring it
you're-
up to current.
Yeah, whatever's owed, you're supposed to come pay.
Bring it up to current.
Yeah, that's, when you're collecting, that's what they're supposed to do.
I accept that as,
Yeah, I just want to be clear.
Just reread
Yeah.
it. Let's vote.
I accept that as the motion.
Who's gonna second it?
As amendment.
Mr. Crawford?
That was just, it's already
He
been
just
seconded.
restated it. He was just restating it. It's already been seconded,
Jim seconded it.
and now everybody knows what the motion
I've
is.
accepted it.
Okay.
Jim, you got something?
No, I was just making sure the camera saw that I seconded it.
Okay.
Since they've asked 3 times who seconded it.
Your vote?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye,
And I also am aye.
amen.
Ms. Stokes, I would ask that in your next edition, you might highlight the fact that we've had to do this.
I'm sorry,
I said, in your next edition, I would maybe ask that you highlight the fact that we've had to do this.
that this was not pleasant for you, got you.
Not at all.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make sure that it sounds like you were not enjoying.
We're going to new business. Consideration of a proposal to repair lighting in front of the town hall. We have a bid for that. Is it Blaney?
Blaney.
Is this another one we're gonna have to do a, budget amendment on?
An amendment?
Yes, in my opinion.
Oh, you're talking about for the budget?
Where's that thing at?
It's about a $2,000 bill, if I remember correctly. Am I wrong?
Well, I thought it was.
There's a lot of lights out. There's just several.
Yeah,
Mr. Rigsby, is this what I'm looking for?
Blaney.
Yes, yes.
This is about $1,000.
Yeah, there it is. Well, it's not quite.
$1,260.
If it goes that high. I thought it was higher than that.
Well, I'll tell you the truth, I thought it was a little less than what, I thought they was gonna have to do some digging and,
Well, he's given us a range on it from 570 to 760 for the hourly rate, and then an estimate on materials from 300 to 500, so I guess he's asking for wiggle room.
We need to, our motion needs to have a cap not to exceed, I would think.
My only issue with that is, would we limit the cap and basically leave 1 or 2 light bulbs without being replaced by doing that? I mean, we need to get the lights fixed. And we, we can't cap it at 1,200 if it's $1,300 worth of lights. And have to come back, and keep coming back over this.
I'm not willing to vote for a motion with no limit on it.
well, now, they capped it at $1,260. I mean, that's
Yeah, I
what
mean,
they're
I
saying
don't think
most
we're looking
is.
at anything beyond that, but just make sure we got enough to cover a one-time visit, so we don't have to have them back out here.
Yeah. Well, they're
I
saying,
understand the problem, but can you suggest a cap, Mr. Rigsby?
Oh, I would say at the upper end of their estimate, would be my cap suggestion. The 1,260, or let's just say 1,300 just to make sure it includes any kind of tax or anything.
Not to exceed 1,300?
Yes.
that a motion?
Yes, I'll make the motion that we authorize Blaney Electric to repair and replace all needed lights at Town Hall with a cap of $1,300.
And we're talking about exterior lights.
The exterior lights, yes.
Mr. Rigsby, would you, as an amendment, refer to the proposal we have in hand that's dated 12/10/21?
Yes, I will amend to accept proposal 4282 dated 12/10/2021
Thank
by
you.
Blaney Electric.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
And I am also aye. Consideration of a proposal for wiring of the council chambers to connect TV and laptop and for a microphone at the podium. That's with audio and light. That's the $2,000 bid I saw.
Now, is this gonna be another budget amendment? I know this is a need, but is this not something that we,
I'm not sure if it's a need or not, to be honest.
put in the budget next year?
I think so.
I mean, if it is, anybody speak up, I'm just asking.
I mean, I'm not sold on us needing it. I need to better understand what it's for. That microphone up there has a mind of its own. I will acknowledge that. We're hoping changing batteries to, what was it, alkaline or lithium?
batteries.
Might help that. I mean, so far, so good tonight, but, you know,
Have we tried lithium?
not yet to my knowledge, Tim. They recommended alkaline.
Okay.
So we're gonna leave this open.
Let's
I want to
put,
close it and just vote it down.
Okay?
I mean,
You can move to, you can
I'll make a-
make a motion to remove it from the agenda and not have, and table it indefinitely.
yeah, I'll make a motion to table this indefinitely. We can revisit it. I need to understand it so I can speak to it. Unless one, I'm assuming none of you guys are bringing this to the table.
I'm not actively working on this, no, but I just.
I'm gonna vote for it.
No, it was something, I
next
understand
year
it
if
was
we need
something that you guys called them about.
I would point out we ought to limit the items we table.
Say that again, Dale?
Can't put Zoom on that TV without.
Okay,
doing
this
some
is,
work.
a result of the laptops that we upgraded and
Old
they're not
technology.
compatible with the TV.
Yeah, so if you want that TV on with Zoom on it, we've got to have the wiring. If you don't, we don't.
are we required to have Zoom on that TV? I mean, can people still see us?
I guess my question would be, we already had it working before, the laptop. What is the difference in the two connection ports? If we're using HDMI when it hooks up to both laptops, then what's the difference? I
I'm a
think-
computer
I
person,
think-
so you are asking the wrong person.
Yeah, I think I'd like to ask that question to Mr. Cox of, just to have a better understanding what the difference is in the two computers and why, upgrading a computer is gonna now cost us $2,000 for the same thing we were getting. So let's table that and, I'll try to call him and get at least an understanding of what our problem is.
Table or continue?
Isn't that the same thing?
Table it indefinitely.
Tabled could be indefinitely, and I just, as a rule, don't like doing too much of that.
Until somebody either pulls it off the table.
Okay.
Stays
So
there.
do you wanna just continue it until February?
I know staff time to track it though.
If we continue it to February, are you saying you're gonna follow up?
Yeah,
and then-
I'll at least get an explanation so I can speak intelligently on it.
Okay,
Because I just don't understand, unless there's more to this that we're not understanding. There's gotta be more to it than just a simple hookup to that TV,
all right.
so.
If we're buying
take
computers
my
from
motion
computer
off the
people,
table.
you would think that
I mean, we've got the wires run, that we've already paid for that were running across the ceiling.
Yeah.
It's the HDMI wire that runs into that box. So I just don't understand why the current, connection port over here is not similar or compatible. And if it's not, why couldn't we just maybe get an adapter? You can get a $50 adapter to go from HDMI to whatever, you know. I just want to get a little better understanding why we've got to run a whole new set of wires.
I think it is important that we get it working, because at times Mr. Medlin accesses our meeting remotely, and we don't want to really have a miscommunication with the town attorney. And so,
I agree with that.
Okay. So I'll second the motion to continue into the February meeting.
All right, Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
No.
Tim?
aye.
I'm voting aye. Okay, moving right along. Appointments of Stokesdale's Planning Board members. I'm going to start off by nominating Randy Braswell. He's a former mayor. He's a former planning board member. He is also a former head of the planning board, if I'm not mistaken. He's put his name in. Do I have a second, or do we need to do this by?
I'll second.
Just do them one at a time.
Okay. Jim?
Aye.
Let's have some discussion, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We
I'm
need,
sorry.
We're gonna do this for
Second.
we should do,
this is for 2 years.
3 for 2 years and 2 for 1 year.
Yes, Mr.
That way
Bras-
we'll get this thing
Mr.
split up.
Braswell is for 2 years.
So will you make what do you want you want it for 2 years? Okay.
Yes, okay, so let me amend my motion that Mr. Braswell be approved for a 2-year term. Now do I have a second?
second.
Okay. Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
All right.
Tim?
Aye.
And I'm also aye.
All right. I'm going to make a motion for a gentleman named Chris Sunder. Chris is a friend of mine. He went to Northwest. He's roughly my age. I graduated from UNCG. I believe most of you guys have met him or know him. Works for Penske Trucking. Has lived in Stokesdale 17 years. Real civic-minded guy, also very involved in the community through volunteering with Stokesdale Parks and Rec, serving on their board in the past, and he's currently an assistant scoutmaster with Troop 600 out of Oak Ridge. Great guy. He's been to several meetings, so if you haven't met him outside of here, you probably may have met him in here. So,
I'll second.
Many years.
yeah, I'm gonna make it for 2 years.
Now, he's gonna go directly on the planning board?
Yes, that is my motion.
If I understand it correctly, that would make 3 members that have a 2-year term. Am I correct? We had
Steve Louis.
Steve Lilly.
Steve Louis, he was put in on
Yes.
for 2 years.
Steve
Now, he'll
Lewis,
have his
so-
training by
So that is
the next
3,
meeting.
that is 3 two-year members, which is what Jimmy suggested. Okay?
Yeah, that'll be 3.
I'd like to make a motion.
We have,
We gotta vote on this.
Okay, I thought we'd already voted.
No.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah.
This is on Chris Sumner.
Yes. Okay, aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Tim?
aye.
I'm also aye.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Ronald Southern to the planning board to a 1-year term.
I'll second that motion.
Jim? Is there any discussion? I'm sorry.
It's a little off topic, but I'd like to let everybody know that Ronald's daughter passed 2 nights ago, I believe. She was 44 years old, and so y'all keep him in your thoughts and prayers.
So noted.
You say, Jim?
We're ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay. Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
I'm also aye. That's 1 year.
1 year.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Jimmy Green for a one-year term on the planning board.
Jim Green, or,
James Green.
What, we all call him Jim,
Oh,
it's
okay.
James Green. yeah.
okay. Yeah, I'll second that.
Jim, or is there any discussion? I'm sorry.
Jim is aye.
Derek,
Derek's aye.
Jimmy,
Huh?
Tim?
Aye.
I'm also aye. How many alternates do we now have? Do we know?
I'm not sure, but before I forget it here, because we don't have it in front of us, I had communications with Bruce Angel today, and although he has a heavy workload, he agreed to continue to serve as an alternate for the planning board.
Good.
And so I would like to make a motion to appoint Bruce Angel as an alternate to the planning board.
I'll second that. Jim?
Jim is aye.
Derek?
Derek is aye.
Jimmy?
Huh?
Tim?
Aye.
And also am I.
Is there a year for that?
A year,
2 year?
a year for that, the alternate.
I don't think we have term limits for alternates, do we?
No, I don't think we,
Once you're voted an alternate, you're on there until you decide to resign?
Until they move out of town or they have a
exactly.
funeral service.
We
That's
got
the
never-
only way they can leave.
yeah, I mean, we got alternates. He's kind of lingered out there over the years to, you know, and you kind of call them if you need them.
So it's an open-ended position?
I mean, we know, as far as I know, we haven't had a limit on, and that's just as far as I know. I'm not saying that there's not a policy or
Okay, so
something
then
somewhere.
it's open-ended. There's not a term.
That's been the town's practice in the past, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay.
And along those veins, I would also like to make a motion to appoint or reappoint Michael Threet as a planning board alternate.
Michael Freet,
Michael Threet, yeah, he has been,
his application in here?
it's in the building.
Oh, okay.
He is retired military, and he still serves our country working for a defense contractor, and so his availability comes and goes, but generally, he's willing to do anything and everything to help the town in any way.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Jim?
Jim is aye.
Derek?
Derek is aye.
Jimmy?
I'm an aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I also am an aye.
Who was the second? Was that you, Mr. Crawford?
Mr. Foy.
Mr. Foy, thank Mr. Foy. All right.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to also nominate as an alternate Mr. Mark Nadell.
Okay. Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Nomination by Jim, second by Mr. Foy. Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
I'm aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Tim?
Grigsby make this motion and Foy seconded.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'm aye.
I'm also aye. Give me the name of the alternate you nominated, Tim.
Michael Threet.
Is that F-R-E-E-T?
It's Threat, I think. I have trouble with it. It's,
Okay,
not
Threat.
common. Threat, yeah.
All right.
Threatt.
Okay, like threat.
So how many is that?
That's
That is three alternates.
3 alternates and 5 council members, or
and
board,
planning
planning
board.
board.
I do have one more nomination for an alternate. I'd like to nominate Mr. Stuart Hummel as an alternate to the planning board.
Stuart Hummel,
Yes, sir.
can you give us some background?
Yeah, Stuart's lived here, I don't know, probably at least 20 years. Tim, Jimmy, you guys may know better. He served on the planning board for, gosh, I feel like it might even be on his application. I haven't looked at that. I'm just familiar with his service in the past, and he's served us well in the past. He most recently was a planning board member for the last 2 years.
His application says 25 years and 9 months.
Yeah, he's been on it forever and a day. He was, you know, I used to wonder who he was.
Is there a second?
Jim Rigsby seconds.
Oh, I got him right here, I see. Any more discussion? Jim, your vote?
I might
Oh, I'm sorry.
add, just for.
Speak up, man, I'm ready to roll.
Well, don't y'all have any news? Mr. Hummel and I think he's in the hospital scheduled to come home next week.
Oh, my gosh.
That's the news that I think we had from the deputy clerk. Just want to let everybody know to keep him in our thoughts and prayers.
Okay. Jim?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I'm also aye.
Mr. Mayor, I have one more nomination on my behalf. It's for Mr. Curtis Gentry for the planning board. Resides at 8110 Blues Creek Road in Stokesdale. He works for Unified Communications Engineer. Or, I'm sorry, he works for Atrium Health. He's a Unified Communications Engineer.
I will second, and that's for an alternate, correct?
An alternate, yes.
That's 5, right? That's the 5th one?
Yeah.
Curtis Gentry?
Yes.
Okay. Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I'm also aye.
Mr. Mayor, I've got in my list, who's the third planning board member for 2 years? Randy Braswell and Chris Sumner, y'all did tonight.
Yeah,
Who's
you've
the
got,
third?
you got Chris Sumner, Randy
Steve Louis.
Braswell, and
Steve
Stephen
Louis.
Louis.
Steve
And
Louis,
Steve
we
Louis.
voted on him in December,
Yeah.
to
He
December.
replaced Tim.
That's right, because you had your position.
So that's 5 and 5.
okay?
Now, I'd like to add something about the planning board. Before, it seems like we got into a thing where all the alternates were supposed to show up and all this. I think that's a lot to ask. We need to get some kind of a system in that we know who's gonna be there and who's not, and then, somebody on the planning board be the chairman, I guess, be responsible for calling an alternate and having, I mean, all the alternates can come, don't get me wrong, but as far as having 10 people show up, I mean, we only have 5 council members, we don't have any alternates. That's a lot to ask, and then, you know, start taking roll and all that, I just think, it's, you know, most of these guys are pretty seasoned, and the guys that wanna learn can show up or whatever. I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, I'd like to speak to that. During the time that I served as the planning board chair, I made an attempt to touch base with the sitting members during the day at some point, phone call, text, or perhaps I had talked to them the day before, but try and make sure that we had a quorum present. And then, you know, if I see that they're not showing up, I certainly think it's a good idea for a chair to get on the phone and see if he can get an alternate here. Ronald Southard is the champion of showing up for planning board meetings and as an alternate. And so, you know, sometimes these things are as boring as watching grass grow if you're out in the audience. So I think if the chairman were ensure that we have a quorum coming plus maybe one alternate, I feel pretty good about the town being able to continue and conduct the town's business. But I think that trying to install some sort of permanent attendance record-keeping apparatus is going to, you know, be kind of cumbersome. These guys, you know, they don't get paid. They give up their time to come down here and do this for us, and we need to make it as easy on them as possible.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that's what I don't want.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You know-
And I might add that, you know, the council at any point in time, all these folks serve at the council's pleasure, and sometimes we have better candidates at other times, and they all have strengths and weaknesses, And we're always endeavoring to have a mix of the best possible people to conduct the town's business and make decisions for our neighbors and friends and businesses here in town.
Now, another question, as far as having a quorum, what are we gonna do in that situation? Let's say there's 4 people. Are we gonna put an alternate, or are we just gonna, if it's less than a quorum, are we gonna fill?
The chair normally has seated an alternate when we don't have a full 5-member board.
So the alternate just sits in.
Correct. We haven't in the past, we've never had a formal process where a line is established, a pecking order established. Normally, the chair just, looks out there and picks somebody, and there's no fuss, and they come up and take their seat. That's the way we've done it since time beginning.
Jimmy, is there some language in the policy procedures manual with regard to planning board? Like what you were talking about, requirement of showing up for meetings and stuff?
No, I think that was brought up, I don't know, maybe a few years ago. They started talking about attendance and this, that, and I disagreed with it at that time.
Okay.
Because, why you don't have 5 guys show up as alternates? It's hard enough to get somebody to the meeting anyway. I mean, we hardly have 5 people out here sometimes.
Yeah. I just didn't know if there was some policy language that we would specifically want to address in writing. If not, then you're just saying, yeah.
Well, just make sure we got it covered. Make sure, I mean, we only have 5 councilmen. We don't have any alternates.
Our policies and procedures manual does not cover this topic. I had it in my hand reading the whole thing maybe a month ago, so I'm almost certain it's not there. But I think if we start working on this, we're solving a problem that doesn't really need to be solved.
Well, I'm just saying that I don't want to have to do like we're at school and keep roll. That's pretty much what I'm saying. I don't want to look on here and say, oh, well, Joey's been here, and so we're going to give him the gold star.
We always have the
Let's get it
option.
filled.
We always have the option of making an adjustment later.
All right, okay.
Next item is, Tim and I were fortunate enough today to spend,
Hold on, brother. It's not the next item.
what are we up against?
What's the agenda?
Agenda is a discussion on, no, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I wrote all around it, thinking I'd already done it. Next item is cost of living increase for town of Stokesdale staff members hired prior to June 30 of 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I put this on the agenda. I appreciate the opportunity to present this to council. I'm going to start it off with a motion, and then I'm going to have a few words to say. But I'm going to make a motion to implement a 4% cost of living increase for all staff hired before July 1st, 2021.
Is there a second?
Jim Rigsby will second.
Mr. Foy, you wanted a conversation?
Yeah, I did. Guys, I passed you out some literature here that I'd like to speak with. First, I want to start off by saying, to the best of my knowledge, the last cost of living adjustment increase was done in July of 2019. That was a 3% increase. I have discussed these numbers with Kim, our finance and budget officer. And Kim, the biggest question that we discussed and that I have here tonight for you is this cost of living increase in the budget when you project this increase out for this fiscal year? Okay. So it's in the budget. This is a cost of living increase. It's not tied to performance, although I'm extremely impressed and grateful and admire all of our town staff for what I believe is great performance. Just to get, looking back last year during our budget workshop, in 2020, Time's flying by. When we were in our budget workshops, call it April or May of 2020, the topic of a cost of living increase was brought to the table. I did speak against it at that time because COVID had just started. Unemployment had shot up above 10%. A lot of people were scared. A lot of people were without work. And in my opinion, I thought it would have been tone deaf for a governmental entity that collects taxpayer money, although the town doesn't understand that, but our money comes from somewhere.
Magic.
To do a cost of living increase at that time. Of course, I've always keep an open mind, and I think the time is now to pursue that. I did have some data for council on page 2 of what I passed out. It's from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's the CPI, Consumer Price Index inflation. As you can see, when you look at all items for the last year, inflation in 2021 alone was at 7%. That's an outrageous rate. Now, I have not, that is not the number that I'm presenting to council. I do believe it will correct itself over time, although I'm not an economist. But I think 4% is a good number. When you look at what $40,000 a year or $40,000 of money was in May of 2020, it has the same buying power then as today's $43,495. And I'm sure we all feel that. Inflation is a very real thing right now. I do believe this is merited for our town employees, and I hope council sees it that way. I will be happy to answer any questions or comments you have.
I don't have any comments. I appreciate the work that all of our staff does, and remind everyone that if they did not do that work, we would be obligated by law to do that. So I appreciate what they do and the forethought and the vision that they have.
All I can say is I started this meeting out praising the staff, and I really do appreciate what they've done with me being a new member. It is amazing what they get done. Jim?
No further discussion. I'll vote aye.
Derek? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Was there more discussion?
Did we get a motion squared away and seconded?
Yeah.
Jim.
Just to repeat the motion, the motion was to implement a 4% cost of living increase for all staff hired before July 21st of 2021. And this will be effective starting the next pay period, which is, Kim, can you give me that date?
And Jim seconded it.
You said
Next pay period will be 1/23.
Okay.
That pay date would be 2/11, so 1/23, yes.
So I'd like to add that to my motion because I didn't specify it at first, but the motion is to implement a 4% cost of living increase for all staff hired prior to July 1st, 2021, to go into effect January 23rd of 2022.
Mr. Rigsby, accept the amendment.
Yes, still vote aye.
Jimmy?
I'm also aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you did. Sorry about
I thought you might have skipped him.
Aye.
Mr. Jones? And I'll also vote aye. Okay. The next item is, Mr. Jones and I were fortunate enough to have some conversation with the leadership in Rockingham County about the possibilities of a second source of water for our township. We run into some roadblocks, as might be expected. What we want to do, they don't seem to have a real big interest or don't seem to think they have the capacity to do what we had in mind, but we did discuss the options that are there. Tim, you want to elaborate?
No, we had a real good meeting up in Rockingham County, and I think that it helped us to work on the questions we should be asking to get to a point where we can have a document to bring back to council to vote on, to examine and vote on, and/or get to the point where we can compose a document and send it to Rockingham County. So I think it went real well. It's just, there are technical things that have come up, and, you know, Mr. Crawford and I being laymen, we're dependent on those folks to do some explaining for us, but overall, I thought it was a good meeting.
It was. We have the door open there if that's a viable opportunity, but as Tim said, there are some stumbling blocks that we're gonna have to overcome or swallow and just accept them.
Now,
Any
we're just
questions?
looking, I mean, we're just taking and turning over all the stones and looking at all our options.
That's it.
Correct?
That's it.
You know, I
That's it.
mean,
We're
we
not
still,
making
we
any
got
commitments.
lots of options, and I just think we owe it to the public to look at everything.
Yeah.
And then get out and discuss it in public, once we get all the information and then put it on the table if, you know, because we gotta, how we're gonna pay for it, what, you know.
Well, we're down to, Tim understands this better, we're really down to, if we're gonna proceed with this, we need an engineer's opinion. We need our own engineer's opinion.
Well, I think if we go into too much detail tonight, we're going to confuse council and our citizens here, because what we have is preliminary information. But I think our next step might be a consult with the Rural Water Association.
Yeah.
And see if we can further refine the items we need to include in our inquiry to Rockingham County. So I think we're good.
Okay.
Well, we
Yes.
need to, you know, all the options that we have, I think we need to have a meeting and then lay them all out on the table, and before we start, you know, looking at something, spending more money with engineers. We spend a bunch of money already with engineers. I mean, we need to get decided on, you know, the path council wants to go on.
$84,400
Yeah.
worth of engineering
And,
reports, yeah.
Before we spend another dime.
Yeah, there's some things there that I think are questionable and that council needs to review. We might need to, at some point, have a workshop meeting and get into the nuts and bolts of those reports and the way they eat elephants one bite at a time. It's complex, but I think, you know, certainly it's a solvable problem for us, and I don't think there's any urgency here. It's just simply, you know, for those that are gathered here, only 2 council members can go to a meeting, because otherwise we would be having a public meeting somewhere and would have to invite citizens and have an open type format. So that's why we travel in pairs. But I think we made good progress.
Well, we need to weigh out all the options. We need to do it in public. We need to ask people that have knowledge of the water system for their input. And, I mean, we need to really open this thing up. This is a big decision. And I know we got to make the decision, but we need the input of anybody that wants to get it. And I mean, I'm not, y'all are doing fine.
I want to make sure that I understand, or at least these citizens sitting here understand, that we just kind of, this was a preliminary meeting. Nothing was down on paper, and we didn't have anything on paper when we left there other than a few notes, but we have a better sense of direction, Mr. Crawford and I do, to fulfill the mission that council voted for us to carry out.
Right.
To make this inquiry with Rockingham
I
County.
just don't want anybody to think that we're going to start spending money on this particular project.
We're not asking for it.
You can
Well,
hardly get
when
me
you
to
say
spend-
engineer, that's money.
Yeah. Well, that may be the next thing, but to Tim's point, if we can talk with the rural people, then, I mean, that's, we need some more direction on the kind of the questions we need to be asking.
Right. I'm not arguing the point. I
Okay.
just know that there's people in town that, you know, that we can, you know, get some input, you know. I want to know why you'd want to do this, why you don't want to do that. And,
Well,
and
that's,
get input from everybody. I mean, Randy, Bill, you know.
well, that's simple. Y'all didn't authorize us to spend any money. Mr. Crawford bought my lunch. You didn't give us an
I'm just saying
allowance.
that for the public. I'm not, y'all are doing a great job.
I know, I just want to make that point. We're not authorized to spend any money.
I'm not
anyway.
knocking that. I just don't want anybody to think we want to run digging a ditch over to Reedsville or something right now. So,
Not hardly.
you know, that's pretty much what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Y'all are doing a good job, though, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys for making that meeting. That's
Okay.
good work.
they had me doing it, they'd be cutting us off.
Okay, up next, discussion and possible vote on North Carolina DOT matters. Somebody's gonna have to bring me up to date on that.
You know, we don't, none of us, the three that were here, we really kept up with these road projects that's going on. I'm gonna tell you the reason that I put this on there. I got a letter from an attorney. And of course, I'm always having people wanting to buy a property. And, it's eminent domain attorney, and, so I'm sitting, there talking about this project that's coming through. And I'm saying, well, I don't know anything about this project. It went north on us. We really don't know what's going on. We don't really have a liaison. And I want to talk about that. Now, Dale, you said that your son-in-law what was his position?
He's an engineer.
An engineer. But, yeah, I think the people in town need to know, you know, I've seen on their website this big plan of 4-lane, well, I shouldn't even say that, but, I mean, there's just plans out there that the public, you should know about. This is going to affect people's lives and livelihoods, and, it's, you know, we need to know where they stand, dates and things like that, if what they're looking at. I mean, somebody asked me, and I can't answer them. And I think we need to do it as a council, you know, with the blessing of it, you know, when the questions are asked. You know, I thought about volunteering to do it, but it kind of affects me, and I don't know that it would be proper.
So Jimmy, what specific project was that letter
Well,
referencing?
this must have been the 158 bypass. It said the 158 project. I meant to bring that letter. I understand that somebody else had got a letter on the other end of town. I'm not going to mention any names or anything. I don't know if anybody else has. I don't guess has anybody been calling in, Dale, about the projects or anything? Has anybody called in?
Do we have citizens calling in with
Citizens.
questions?
Priscilla did mention someone called in, you called the person's name?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had got the same letter.
Well, there's attorneys sending out these big packs, and it's a little bit scary. It is to me, because, you know, I don't want to go nowhere. I know y'all would like to run me off, but it might be what it takes. But, you know.
These are solicitations to represent our citizens in eminent domain actions from NCDOT, correct?
Yeah. But, I mean, here I sit on council, and they're contacting me on stuff that's going on, and I don't know, and then people ask me questions, and I don't really know. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think we need
I have that project, if it's the 158 project, I have it pulled up now, and there's a designated contact for the Division 9 Engineer's Office. So we could probably reach out to them and just see, because according to the website, they're still on timeline they're in Section A right now, right-of-way acquisition in progress. So, I mean, according to the website, they're still moving forward with this.
If I may, Mr. Rigsby, the last information I had from NCDOT was the US 158 bypass hadn't been funded yet, and they didn't know when it would be funded. And I'm talking about the northern route, that supposedly that was the final selection. And Jimmy is basically, if I understand him correctly, is concerned about them jumping back on the idea of the southern route.
Well, it's not that I'm concerned about, I mean, yeah, I'm concerned personally, but I'm concerned that nobody knows what's going on. You know, if they come through me, so be it.
Well,
I want it open and transparent, and what's going on, people can make decisions. I mean, people are buying houses and people are selling houses. I don't want people coming in and taking advantage of people in town buying their property out in front of something to maybe get possible, I mean, you know. In other words, I guess I want the people that's in town get the fruits if there's any, I don't see if there's any fruits to you know, be done, but I want people sneaking in and, you know, buying property up, taking advantage of their inside information. I can't stand crony capitalism. So, Jim, I should have called you and asked you, but you've been all over the highways all these years. Would you mind being the town contact for that?
I can. I'm not overly familiar with the history because it hasn't been involved with me. But I'm looking at the map now. It looks like alternate route number 2 is probably what's concerning you, because that looks like the southern route.
Do not get me wrong about this. I am not, has nothing to do with me. The only reason I don't want to do it is because it does have something, financially, it does have something to do with me, and I don't want it to look like a conflict of interest. But I do think that we've got to get on top of it. I believe there were people here before that had met and knew, but there was no report, to council. And I'd like to see some information and reported to council and to the citizens, not just to council. I came in here one time before when I wasn't on council. I was really irritated. They were getting ready to have a closed session meeting with DOT, and I come in and I said, hey, this is affecting people's lives. This thing needs to be out in the open.
Okay.
What's going on. So
It shows to be funded here, so 110 million.
will you send me that?
Yes, I'll send you the link. It's
Okay.
the number is R2577.
Yeah.
Start date is 2022, and it shows to be already funded.
But yes, I am concerned, but there's one project, there's 90 property, I think you said it was 90 property owners going to be affected, and 10 property owners are going to have to relocate. So all I'm saying is people need to know what's going on. And DOT probably be mad at me for even talking about it in a public meeting, but I just don't care. I mean, we need to, we'll need to know what's going on, if it is anything going on. But you
Yeah, it
start
may
getting
not be,
letters from
but I'm just
attorneys. Some
reading
other
what I'm
people are
seeing.
getting some letters. So they're not wasting their money. Ask Tom.
It's good money in that litigation.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to address this agenda item myself, if you and the council would bear with me a minute. I think I've got my thoughts kind of organized here. I supported this agenda item with enthusiasm because this has generated the largest turnout that I've ever seen in this building when we had meetings concerning the US 158 bypass and these highway projects. So our citizens certainly care about this issue. 2-3 years ago, when I was on council sitting in Mr. Rigsby's seat down there, then Mayor John Flint and Mayor Pro Tem Theron Hooks indicated to me and those gathered here that they were having conversations with NCDOT, that they had information. When I asked them to share that information with council, they declined to do so, and I expressed my frustration at those two because I felt that they needed to disclose what they knew. And that is the last time that I think this body has addressed that I'm aware of. And so there's 4 things that I think this council should be concerned about with NCDOT projects. The number 1 item is the US 158 bypass, and, the southern route, the northern route is supposed to be the route. And last information I had, it wasn't funded. The second item is, I think the town here has lost contact with the Metropolitan Planning Organization through NCDOT. We ought to at least be getting emails from them with their meeting minutes and what they do impacts us. And so I think we've been cut off from them somehow. So I think that's something we might ought to see where we're at with them, see if we can get back on their, at least on their mailing list. I don't know who the area representative is. It used to be Miss Barnes in Summerfield that was on council. The third item is this intersection up here at Angel Pardue Road and 158 and Athens Road. The council just approved a subdivision for the Angel Farm back here, and we anticipate increased traffic. And I think Unfortunately, I'm here, but I think this council needs to be proactive to try to start a conversation with NCDOT and Guilford County Schools and let them know that we think there's a problem coming, and that problem falls under their jurisdiction, that they are the ones that are receiving the tax money and have the responsibility to do road improvements. And nobody in the room would disagree that we want our kids to be as safe as possible up there at that intersection. So that's the third item. The fourth item is the widening of 68 and 65 all the way from 220 to the intersection at 158, where Old Byright's at, where Stokesdale Christian Church is at. That project has a project number. I don't know if it's R257 or I think it began with a 5, but it is you can see this on the NCDOT website. There are no maps in this building that I know of. There's been no contact with an NCDOT official over this project as far as the town goes that I'm aware of, with the exception of those conversations that the former mayor and former Mayor Pro Tem had. So, we don't want to be asleep at the wheel here when these projects are going on in our town and have citizens come here and ask us why we didn't let them know, why we didn't ask questions, why we're not looking out after their interests. So I don't know what motion I would make to address this or what the next step might be. The possibility of inviting an NCDOT representative to our February meeting crossed my mind. And so with that said, I'll shut up.
I will, in my contacts, I will bring that up and see if it would be best, instead of me relaying that information, to have someone that could speak on all of the projects, if that's possible. I know that a lot of times they sign each one out individually to different engineers, but I'll inquire and see what the best route of that will be. And if it is inviting someone to come talk, then I'll go ahead and make that and put it on the agenda.
May I say something quick?
Yes.
It was my understanding that former Mayor Flint was attending, or at least participating with the TT, Transportation Advisory Council, last week, I believe, and I mentioned it to Mr. Landreth today. I got a whole list of emails with every one of their meetings throughout 2022. And I was gonna ask, who do you want me to forward that to? So it's my understanding you can appoint somebody, and whether it's Mr. Rigsby or what your choice is, but you can appoint somebody to serve as our member on that council. And then I can send you the links to all those meetings.
Now, anybody can watch the meeting, right? Participate, is that correct?
As far as I know, I've not investigated it fully, but
Well,
As you sent me some, I think you sent me.
one I sent you
yeah,
this
sent me
morning
one. Yeah.
for 2 weeks from now or something.
Yeah.
Well, I would ask the three of you, has Mayor Flint reported his attendance at these meetings and any information back to the council with his representation of the town of Stokesdale?
No, sir, not that I recall.
Well, this concerns me. Again, the most people I've ever seen in this building were here because of that 158 bypass. Our citizens are concerned about this.
Well, we could pen a letter with everything that you just talked about, and these questions are, for Jim to use or whatever, but, we at least need to be able to answer a question.
Well, I'm hoping we can put our heads together and.
Jim, I
do
didn't
the
mean
best
to
thing.
just throw you under the bus or anything, on it. So,
Well, I
figured-
don't want to commit right now to attending these meetings monthly, because I have a job, but, we will certainly, do some research on anything affecting Stokesdale and at a minimum, call an engineer and see who the best person that could speak on all of that. There should be a resident engineer or somebody over Guilford County that can speak and put us in the right direction. And so I'll have that information by next council meeting.
If nothing else, I would like for us to invite the district engineer, Bobby Norris, to, our February meeting.
Yes.
He lives in the area, so it's not too much of a detour for him. He's always been kind enough to come to town meetings when we've asked him to.
Okay.
Are these meetings recorded?
I have no
You
idea.
don't know? Do we have a capability, if you pull, I guess there's Zoom?
I don't think it's a Zoom link, but
Really?
I've not clicked on the link, so I
Do
can't.
we have any capability here to record them?
Yes, we do.
Well, we could record the meetings. I mean, I'll watch them if I can. And, you know, listen. But if not, we can record them, and then that way, at any time, you know, we could watch the meeting, and then we'd have a record of what it is. It's not that I want to say anything to anybody. I would like to hear it. But, yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, we do just
The
what we're
Zoom
talking about.
meeting, is that saved? I don't know.
m-
If you're participating in a Zoom meeting, is that something you can save?
You have the option to save it. Yes, ma'am. Maybe if you reached out to this agency and asked if they have verbal or audio or video record of these meetings.
Yeah, I mean, that way we're not somebody.
How
you know, 'cause all these guys
how
working
frequent are the meetings?
Once a month.
If you could send that out to us, then maybe we can all discuss individually and see, maybe one of them's close to one of our works, and we can run over there at lunch or something and work it out. I'd just like to see the date and the location before I commit.
I think they're on.
It's almost every month. I think it's maybe August and September, there's not one.
Okay.
I'll send you all the links.
It'd be nice if we could get a recording of it. And,
Ask.
you know, I could sit in the meeting and not tell you 20% of what went on. But if I got a recording, I can go back over it a couple times. These guys might be better at that than I am.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question of an audience member here,
Certainly.
if I may? Mr. Southard and Mr. Galden in the back of the room here with the fire department, do y'all have any contacts with NCDOT? Are they communicating with y'all about roadway projects for your response planning?
No, not unless it's something immediate that's affecting us, like, you know, a 6-month project or something like that. Even then, we don't give, we ran into some issues, especially with interstates when they were, opening on-ramps and off-ramps. We had some communications issues there. There is a representative for Guilford County EMS that was attending those. Randy and I were just talking. We may reach out to him, and see if he's still going to the monthly meetings, and if there's been any talk of the 158, project again, because, Randy, you correct me if I'm wrong, the last time we were in a meeting and talked to somebody about it, we heard the same thing that you had, that it had been put on hold.
Yeah, and I know at one time, you know, there was some discussion about the fire department being able to get to the other side of the 4-lane to answer calls and that sort of thing, and certainly I don't want y'all left out.
Obviously, if you've been down 68 and 65 on Blues Creek Road, it looks like something's gonna happen, because there's been a lot of surveying going on, there's a lot of stakes up and all. We did hear some stuff from Rockingham, which wouldn't affect us, but they were looking at doing some widening of 68 in their county, putting in some median type stuff and all because of the tractor trailer traffic. And the only thing we could figure there was, nobody officially said it was maybe the interstate wasn't taking as much traffic off and wanted to go directly to Winston-Salem as they had hoped the interstate would do, because you get off the interstate and it's a straight drive down 40 in Winston. So, you know, we don't know, we just kind of speculate sometimes and watch what's going on, but, we were just talking about reaching out to the, emergency services contact, see if he's still in those meetings.
Yeah, well, hey, if y'all find out something we don't know, you know,
And we'll
we'd
do the same
appreciate
to
it.
y'all. Or we're gonna make it public. I mean, but we'll tell y'all too, but that project you're talking about, if you go on the eminent domain website, they've got it there and it's got numbers. You can't read them. But it shows all the way up to the Stokesdale, up past the by right, and I mean massive. And they said, the attorney said they were in the process of acquiring land, 2022, and that's, so.
There was a meeting here, it's probably been 3 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe 4 years ago. You may have been to
Yeah.
that meeting. It was held during the day when they had all the engineers. We just came and sat in and listened to it, and they were talking about the 68 Blues Creek Road intersection, the 65, everything that was inside the town limits and how they were looking at widening that and slowing traffic down by the new buy right. Yeah, because I think you were here because you were mentioning you lived on 68, but it was gonna stop at the intersection.
Yeah, well, this is a different project, and, you know, the one that they were gonna do at one time, that if you pull up the STIP map, it stops, it goes, it would stop at 65 in the northern route. It would have hooked into the northern route. Well, now they've got this map, and I'm just going by what this map shows. You can pull it up, anybody can pull it up on the, eminent domain attorney website. It'll be under projects. And, I mean, I talked to an attorney, because I was talking to him about my stuff. But it goes all the way, it goes on up 65, and so whether that's a real project, I mean, I would assume that it is.
I would say, Jimmy, the last info we had was the meeting that you were at, that we were listening to the engineers talk, like I said, that's probably been, what, 3 years ago?
Right.
That they were up here with that meeting, and to be honest with you, we haven't had any contact or heard anything else about anything going on.
But as far as, you know, being out there, we just want to be open and transparent about it and be able to answer questions. I'm not saying any of these projects are going on, because I don't know. So I don't want anybody to think that. You just start getting letters and things like that, people are spending money, soliciting.
If we hear something, we'll share it with you.
Yeah.
Because, as Tim said, that was a big concern for us, if you split our district with a 4-lane road.
Yeah.
How you gotta go this way, how far you gotta go to turn around and come back.
Yeah.
To get to something that you usually just drive straight through, so there was a big impact on, our response times and getting to a call, and that was a big concern for us. Are you gonna put crossovers, how are you gonna do this? So, but, as I said, we haven't heard anything since we were at that meeting with you.
Well, it's definitely a big deal for y'all, but it's a big deal for a lot of people that it's going to affect.
Well-
I mean, you know, a lot of people.
While we've been talking here, I've managed to pull this up on my phone, which is unusual for me to be able to find something this easy. The NCDOT project is R5823 for NC 68 and NC 65 to US 220. And again, that's R-5823. It looks just plain as day here. I'm gonna see if Mr. Landorf wants to take a picture of my screen here. But I think that's the correct one. And so that's the one that I think they have funded. That's the one they're surveying,
Yeah.
and they're moving forward with it.
Yeah, that's it. You can pull it right up, and there's a map there. I can't see real good. I can't even take a magnifying glass, but, and you couldn't see it, but it's got the numbers, got the North Carolina seals and all that stuff. I mean, I believe it's legit, but I don't know, you know.
So
If a citizen asked me about it, you know.
And I'm getting questions from various citizens asking me what I know. The question is, do we continue this agenda item number 14, our discussion and possible vote on NCDOT matters, or let this die and come back to it later with a, you know?
Well, do we need a vote for Jim to do that? I mean,
No, I don't, I mean, I think any of us have the right to call an official and have them invited to the thing, so I'll reach out to him this week and see if I can get hold of him and have him at our next meeting.
yeah.
So,
Well,
and
I'll
I'll
make
ask him and prep him on what we're interested in knowing, so he'll have some time to do some research.
I think I want to make a motion to continue this agenda item for further discussion.
Yeah, we definitely need to. I'll second that.
Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
I'm also aye.
No, bro, that's it.
We open the floor again for any citizens' comments. If you'd like to comment on anything we've done this evening or anything else, you're more than welcome to step up to the podium. Council comments, Jim?
None really, just, want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and, being part of the democratic process.
Derek?
Yeah, Happy New Year. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank y'all for speaking, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I wanna congratulate Derek for putting on with all the people that helped him and all the folks that helped him. probably the biggest parade, the biggest and the bestest.
Well,
Parade
we
we've
had a lot
had.
of help.
It was a great parade. I know we've had some good ones too, but he did an excellent job, and the folks they did a great job. It was beautiful. They made a good call, they was thinking about maybe calling it off because of weather, and it just fit right in, and a beautiful day, and I appreciate that. And second, I do want to thank the staff. You guys know I don't like spending money. But you guys have done a wonderful job, and I appreciate it. I sleep pretty good at night knowing y'all were in there, and at least I don't lose any over y'all. And I appreciate it. I really do appreciate your job. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir, thank you. I too would like to thank our staff. They are a pleasure to work with, and they sometimes can very quickly clear up some of the questions I have, and that's a blessing when I got other things to do, got my own work to take care of, family and what have you. And I'd like to thank those that participated and organized and did all the work for our Christmas parade, especially Mr. Foy. I know I was here with him, and he was really sweating a decision over calling the parade off because of the storm that was pending, and he was sweating bullets and consulting every possible resource. He did everything but call the governor, and so I see all the work that he did. I have been having some discussions with some of the local folks about the pending school bond and the sales tax increase that's coming possibly, and a question that has come up in conversation is would it be possible for the town of Stokesdale to pursue its own charter school in some way, shape, or form? Can we start something in motion where we could encourage a private company to pursue getting the necessary permissions from the county and the state to do that? I think it's a good idea. I think that it would alleviate a lot of trips up and down the road to Northwest Middle, Northwest High School. I think it would relieve some overcrowding at Stokesdale Elementary. I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I think it's something to talk about. There seems to be a lot of interest in it, so I'll put that out there as an idea for further reflection by, whoever might want to consider it. And I'd just like to thank the 5 people we still have sitting in the seats. I think council should come up with some kind of gift for anybody that would sit and listen to us for this long. And so I thank you all for being here.
There is no planning board meeting this Thursday on the 27th, and the town council next meeting is on the February the 10th at 7 p.m. I'd like to reiterate everyone's gratitude for our staff. We do appreciate what you folks do, and you do an outstanding job. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Northwest Observer has done with their finder. I think that'll be very good news for all of us. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
I didn't say Jimmy, I said Jimmy.
I'm always quick to go home.